Welcome to the Tiger's Den. This is the voice of Cheryl, and I am Toothless Tiger. Thank you for joining me today. I come to honor the Honorable Texas Congresswoman Bernice Johnson, remembering a first. Many of you may not know the Congresswoman, as she represented the 30th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. That covers a great portion of Dallas, Texas. I feel there should be an outrage because of what happened to her. I've been doing a series on the destruction of the Black family. Of course, you know that I identify as Asiatic, but we've been taught the majority of our lives to say Black, only to find out Black is not associated with any landmass. It is not our birthright. And it is civilly dead in the eyes of the law, which makes us non-descendable. That's another story for another day. I'm outraged because of what happened to the Congresswoman, and it's in line with the things that I've been speaking on when we speak on women, Asiatic women, Black, as you call yourselves, and the medical treatment that we receive. It saddens me that there is not an outrage on social media, on national media, on YouTube. I hear more talk about characters than I do about what's really happening to us every day in our everyday lives. And if it can happen to a U.S. Congresswoman, we all know the sad stories of what happens to everyday people. But this story needs to be told, and it needs to be sounded from the mountaintop. We all should be talking about what happened to the Congresswoman and how we can prevent it from happening to us or our loved ones. Bear with me as I tell you of her life and service to others. This is under fair use, and I'm reading articles from her Wikipedia page and from the newspaper. Bernice Johnson, December 3rd, 1934, December 31st, 2023, was an American politician who represented Texas's 30th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives from 1993 to 2023. Johnson was a member of the Democratic Party. Johnson was elected to the House in 1992, becoming the first registered nurse in Congress. At the swearing in of the 116th United States Congress, she became Dean of Texas's congressional delegation. Upon Representative Don Young's death in March 2022, Johnson became the oldest member of the House of Representatives. She retired at the end of the 117th Congress. Johnson also served in the Texas House of Representatives, where she was elected in 1972 in a landslide, the first black woman to win electoral office from Dallas. She also served 3 terms in the Texas Senate. A legend is what we're talking about. I hope that you will listen to this tribute so that you can know the pains that her family is feeling at this time. Early life, education, and medical career. Eddie Bernice Johnson was born in Waco, Texas on December 3, 1934, to Edward Johnson, a tailor, and Lily Mae White Johnson, a homemaker. She and her 3 siblings grew up attending Tolliver Chapel Baptist Church, where her mother was an active member. She had aspired to a career in medicine since childhood and wished to become a doctor, but was told by a high school guidance counselor that this would not be possible because of her gender. Johnson graduated from A.J. Moore High School at age 16 and moved to Indiana to attend St. Mary's College of Notre Dame, where she graduated in 1955 with her nursing certificate. She transferred to Texas Christian University, from which she received a bachelor's degree in nursing. She later attended Southern Methodist University and earned a Master of Public Administration in 1976. Johnson was the first African American to serve as chief psychiatric nurse at the Dallas Veterans Administration Hospital. She entered politics after 16 years in that position. Her early political career. U.S. House of Representatives elections. Midway through her second term in the state Senate, Johnson ran in the Democratic primary for the newly created 30th Congressional District. She defeated Republican nominee Lucy Kane 72% to 25% in the 1992 general election and became the first nurse elected to the United States Congress in 1994. She defeated Kane again 73% to 26%. In 1996, after her district was significantly redrawn as a result of Bush v. Vera, she was reelected to a third term with 55% of the vote, the worst election performance of her congressional career. All the candidates in the race appeared on a single ballot, regardless of party, and Johnson faced 2 other Democrats, proving just how Democratic this district still was. The 3 Democrats held 73%, tallied 73% of the vote. Johnson never faced another contest nearly that close. She was reelected 9 more times with at least 72% of the vote. In 2012, Johnson easily beat 2 opponents in the Democratic primary, State Representative Barbara Mallory Caraway and lawyer Taj Clayton, gaining 70% of the vote. She won the general election with almost 79% of the vote. She was reelected in 2014, 2016, 2018, and 2020. In October 2019, Johnson announced she would retire in 2022. Tenure. The 17th chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Johnson opposed the Iraq Resolution of 2002. During debate on the House floor, she stated, "I am not convinced that giving the president the authority to launch a unilateral first strike attack on Iraq is the appropriate course of action at this time. While I believe that under international law and under the authority of our Constitution, the United States must maintain the option to act in its own self-defense, I strongly believe that the administration has not provided evidence of an imminent threat of attack on the United States that would justify a unilateral strike. I also believe that actions alone, without exhausting peaceful options, could seriously harm global support for our war on terrorism and distract our own resources from this cause." In 2007, House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Chair Jim Oberstar appointed Johnson chair of its subcommittee on Water Resources and Environment during the 110th and 111th Congresses. She was the first African American and first woman in Congress to chair this subcommittee. As subcommittee chair, Johnson sponsored the Water Resources Development Act. She led Congress in overriding President Bush's veto of it, the only veto override of his presidency. During the 2008 Democratic presidential primary campaign, Johnson initially supported U.S. Senator John Edwards. After he withdrew from the race, she pledged her support as a superdelegate to Barack Obama. Her district backed Obama heavily in the election. Johnson and Representative Donna Edwards proposed a publicly funded park on the moon to mark where the Apollo missions landed between 1969 and 1972. The Apollo Lunar Landing Legacy Act, H.R. 2617, calls for the park to be run jointly by the Department of the Interior and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Johnson attended COP26 in 2021 and urged immediate climate action, warning scientists have been sounding the alarm on climate for years, and inaction is not an option. We are working to build a clean energy future while creating high-quality jobs and so much more, she said. I don't know many Armenians, but I do know one that I love dearly. And so I don't think you're going to like her take on what I'm about to read. But I, like you, live in my integrity. And we have to tell it all if we're going to tell it. Armenian genocide denied. Johnson consistently opposed the historical consensus on the Armenian genocide. In 2009, when asked if she acknowledged the Armenian genocide, she responded, "No, I don't." In 2017, when interviewed for a film and asked if she denied the Armenian genocide occurred, Johnson replied, "I do deny that." In 2019, Johnson was one of 3 House members to vote present on a resolution recognizing the Armenian genocide. The Armenian National Committee of America gave Johnson an F rating for her voting record during the 117th Congress. Presidential election objections. In 2001, Johnson and other House members objected to counting Florida's electoral votes in the 2000 presidential election. Because no senator joined her objection, it was dismissed by Senate President Al Gore. In 2005, Johnson was one of 31 House Democrats who voted to not count Ohio's electoral votes in the 2004 presidential election. Without Ohio's electoral votes, the election would have been decided by the U.S. House of Representatives, with each state having one vote, in accordance with the 12th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Johnson voted to certify Joe Biden's win in the 2020 presidential election. Johnson called the 2021 United States Capitol attack like a real war. Scholarship violations. In August 2010, Amy Golson, counsel for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, said that Johnson violated organizational rules by awarding at least 15 scholarships to relatives of her own or to children of her district director, Rod Givens. The awards violated an anti-nepotism rule, and the recipients did not qualify for the scholarships because they were not residents of Johnson's district. Johnson said she unknowingly made a mistake in awarding the grants and would work with the foundation to rectify it. Opponent Stephen Broden released letters bearing Johnson's signature in which she requested that the scholarship check be made out to and sent directly to her relatives instead of to the destination university as would normally be done. That was in an article from the Dallas Morning News. Ran an editorial questioning her changing story on the matter, saying that it was overshadowing her service in the House. Committees. In December 2010, Johnson became the first African American and the first female ranking member of the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. From 2000 to 2002, she was the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Research and Science Education. Johnson has been a strong advocate of investing in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM education. In 2012, he introduced the Broadening Participation in STEM Education Act, which would authorize the director of the National Science Foundation, NSF, to award grants to increase the number of students from underrepresented minority groups receiving STEM degrees. The bill would also expand the number of faculty members from the underrepresented minority groups at colleges and universities. Personal life and demise. Johnson was a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the Lynx. In 1956, she married educator Lacey Kirk Johnson. They had a son and divorced in 1970. Johnson expired in Dallas on December 31st, 2023, at the age of 89. She had recently been admitted into hospice care. Shortly after her death, her family announced plans to file a lawsuit against her healthcare providers, claiming medical negligence was responsible for her transition. That is the lady that we depended on in our district and we voted for time and time again. Now, let me tell you a little bit why this story is very important and why I'm relatively upset about it that no one is sounding the alarm. And when I say no one, I mean it should be more people interested in what's going on with us as a people in this great place we call America. More people should be concerned with a U.S. Congresswoman transitioning what we believe to be before her time. Now, we know that it is written that it is appointed time for all of us. And we know that there are different variables in life that can make things not be the way that we think they are. But this is a very disheartening situation. And I want to share this. Retired U.S. Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson. And this was written by Dr. Barbara Reynolds. TriceEtnywire.com. And it reads, once in a private moment after I had finished producing her weekly cable show for her Dallas district as her communications director, Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson shared with me what really mattered. Quote, I really love compassionate nursing because nurses can do anything. Keep your eye on them. Unquote. In that one sentence, she was sharing what a tough job it was becoming the first registered nurse in 1997 to be elected to Congress. But nurses could manage that and more. We have some fantastic nurses. And we have some not so fantastic nurses. Isn't it ironic? What she loved doing, what she paved the way for others to do, nursing, it was because of inadequate nursing that it is believed that she is no longer with us. I will continue. News analysis. To learn from Representative Johnson's lawyer that she recently passed a terrible, painful death in a rehabilitation center without receiving the kind of compassionate nursing from the profession she loved that could have saved her life was sad and shocking. Yet, it was a reminder that African American women, no matter who they are all often disrespected by the medical profession. A barrier that even Johnson, one of the most recognized and honored women in Texas, could not dispel. The Congresswoman's death resulted from a September back surgery that became infected when she was left to lie in her own feces in her bed at a rehab medical center while she repeatedly pleaded for help that didn't come, according to Les Weisbrod. He is a malpractice attorney for the family who is threatening to sue the Dallas Baylor Scott and White Institute for Rehabilitation for medical negligence after undergoing more surgery to treat the infection. Johnson, 89, passed from a spinal infection while in hospice care at her home on New Year's Eve. She retired from Congress last year. This is so very sad and disheartening because when I think about different things that happens, and especially when it happens to me and I'm 65, and I think about how blessed I am for having a sister who's 5 years older, 70, that's able to do for me, get out and go in the kitchen and cook, do those things for me that I can't do for myself anymore. Oh, I could get out and go. It would take me forever. And I'd have to sit in the car and rest for I don't know how long before I will get my wind back. I could go in the kitchen and take forever to cook. But she loved me enough to do it for me, and for that I'm truly grateful. It touches my heart to think about the senior citizens or the disabled that don't have a big sister to look after them or a nephew who take care of them or a son who comes at your beck and call, or other nieces and nephews, cousins and friends. I shudder to think about these people every day throughout America. It's the smallest of things that can become the largest of things. Imagine her only son, who shared his mother with a nation of people, who knew her love and what she gave to him, and to feel the loss in the manner in which it was. The very thing that she sought, compassionate care for everyone through nursing. Didn't matter that she was a U.S. Congresswoman. Didn't matter that she had some of the best insurance that this life offers. Didn't matter. As horrible as the situation that denied one of the most visible personalities in Dallas with powerful friends in Texas and in the nation's capital to die with dignity and unnecessary pain, her plight is not uncommon. According to Weisbrod, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, it can happen to anybody, whether they're a congressperson or not, he said. I've probably represented clients suing every major hospital in North Texas. Two problems contributed to the demise of Johnson. First, are how the medical profession shows an institutionalized disregard for people of color, Asiatics, the ones they call black, especially women, and how understaffed most nursing facilities are, which calls for patients to enter hospitals with their own medical advocate that will skillfully monitor their nursing care. Such a burden to put on people. And imagine being an only child. And I'm sure they knew plenty of people. But you think that you're in the hands of compassionate people, and they're there because they want to do everything they can to help you have a healthy and speedy recovery. and most are. A recent Pew Research study revealed that 49% of those studied say a major reason why Black people generally have worse health outcomes is because healthcare providers are less likely to give Black people the most advanced medical care. Now, remember, when we have these conversations, they say that we can't talk like this because, this stuff doesn't happen in America today. And we can't have these kind of conversations going out to our children, trying to make us feel guilty for the things that happened to you people way back when. But we're talking 2024. We're not talking way back then. We're talking how we're treated. In past times, it was conspiracy theories, and you're not allowed to say that, and you're changing other people's opinion, and we're living this every day. And it saddens me to see how many people play in the name of getting the bag and don't have the dignity that they say they have, the Christianity that they say they live, and the love for others to try to educate our people. We're hurting, and we need help. I'm not Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Harriet Tubman, and all those other greats. I'm just a mother that's lived 65 years, seen a lot, experienced a lot, and have a love for people. I believe in one race, the human race, but I know that we're divided by ethnicity and nationality, and ours was stolen. So we're called Black, and we're treated like nothing, and no one seems to hear the cries of the mothers and the fathers, of the children, of the Blacks. We need help. We need to help ourselves. We need to help each other. We need to educate each other, educate our children. We say our children are our future. How can that be when a congresswoman who's given more than half of her life serving the people of Texas, from nursing to politics, from the Texas House to the Texas Senate, all the way to the United States Congress. And this is how she's treated. It saddens me. A roughly equal share, 47%, says hospitals and medical centers giving lower priority to their well-being is a major reason for differing health outcomes. Another often heard complaint is the unfounded belief that Black women can stand more pain than whites, resulting in their denial of requested painkillers. That's real. Dr. Jackie may not believe it's real. We're just trying to get off work. A lot of us are retired from the conditions in which we live, and our bodies just can't take it. Dr. Rhoda Alela is an Ohio registered nursing consultant and a former faculty member of the Howard University School of Nursing. She charges that the death of Representative Johnson is a stark reminder of how Black people are treated by healthcare institutions nationwide. She argues that health disparities for people of color are at an all-time high, citing recent personal observations. Quote, my 15-year-old granddaughter received a letter canceling her insurance because they say she had seen too many specialists. Unquote. Why does sickness disqualify you from insurance? And she also pointed to another patient who consulted her for help when he went into the hospital for a minor illness, but came out with a major illness because of an open wound infection, an all too common malady. Many health professionals are also urging patients to have a medical advocate, preferably a family member or a private nurse within the medical institution, to scrutinize the nursing care. Imagine us. Most don't even have insurance, but we're going to get a private nurse? Go figure. Alayla, and I hope I said your name right, says that nursing must change and should adopt the pediatric care model with families as inpatients, like some pediatric wards that have an extra bed and shower in the room. I had to chuckle because I be messing up so many words lately. And I heard this real beautiful, compassionate speech from Willie D. And he was talking about how people, instead of enjoying the substance of his content, they were critiquing him mispronouncing a word and calling them all kind of names. And that's really a bad feeling when you know and you're passionate about what you're doing and you're trying to give your best. But on first take, it doesn't always work that way. And when you're recording or when you're going live, in recording, you can get a do-over, but how many times do you want a do-over? Going live, it is what it is. But it just made me chuckle. And I had to explain that because I'm so very serious about what I'm talking about. And I hope that people will listen. I do understand sometimes people don't want to look at 3 minutes, let alone an hour's video. But for everybody who's at this part of the video, I appreciate you and I thank you for being here. Adding to the systemic problems within nursing are reports of a desperate shortage of nurses resulting from the COVID epidemic, where so many nurses were victims or became burnt out and did not return to the profession. Dr. Carthenia Jefferson, RN, an official of the National Black Nurses Association, which Representative Johnson was also a member, said she hopes the terrible treatment of the Congresswoman will bring national attention for the need for the improvement of quality care and rehabilitation and other healthcare institutions. I am saddened beyond words, quote unquote. Dr. Jefferson is so right. If Representative Johnson's painful premature death would turn the spotlight on the sickness within the medical profession, her love for the nursing profession will deserve her affection. About post author. And I have his picture. I don't know if that's his name. But this is the Courier newsroom. And I like to give credit to whom credit is due. And I want to reiterate, President Joe Biden's first visit to Dallas, Texas as president was to pay tribute to our trailblazer, the Honorable Bernice Johnson, 30th Congressional District in this great state of Texas. And as Nurse Queen Regina would say, she yielded the floor and endorsed our seating 30th District Congresswoman, the Honorable Jasmine Crockett. Lastly, I want to read another article written by Karen Brooks Harper, January the 4th. Bernice Johnson's family says medical neglect led to former Congresswoman's death. The family of the recently retired Congresswoman says Johnson contracted an infection at Baylor Scott & White's rehabilitation facility that led to her death. Congresswoman Bernice Johnson passed a terrible, painful death. And I know that there are words that they don't want us to use on YouTube, and I don't know that they have given us a definitive list of words, but it's very hard to read an article and try to substitute the words. Sometimes I get the mark, sometimes I don't. I'm going to read the article and YouTube will decide how they want to handle it. Congresswoman Bernice Johnson died a terrible, painful death from an infection caused by negligence at her Dallas recovery facility following a September back surgery, according to a statement Thursday from Johnson's family outlining their intention to file a lawsuit. She had no reason not to be here, Kirk Johnson, the Congresswoman's son, told reporters at a Thursday afternoon news conference. If she had gotten the proper care, she would be here today. The family notified Baylor Scott & White Health System and Baylor Scott & White Institute for Rehabilitation of their intention to sue on the grounds of medical negligence. A wound from a September back surgery became infected when the Congresswoman was left to lie in her own feces in her bed for about an hour at the rehab center while she repeatedly asked for help that didn't come. According to Les Weisbrod, attorney for the family, if a settlement is not reached in the next 60 days, a lawsuit will be filed. And I can hear a lot of the naysayers talking about all they want is money. That's just a money grab. They don't care. It's all about money. No, it's not. The money is so minuscule, but that's the only thing that you can do to a person that damage you or end your life. Civilly, that's all you can do. And it's so very sad that we don't look at what happened. There is no price that you can put on her life. Not for her son, for her grandchildren, her family, her community, and certainly her district. There's no price. She gave her life serving us, trying to make it better for us, always being in the minority voting group, but she was able to make relationships across the aisle and even in her own party. to get things done. I really, really wish that more people were interested in making life better for us. I have seen that most people that get people to start paying attention are no longer with us. A lot of those people, they send in people, and the next thing you know, those people no longer exist. I wonder, is that what that could be for me? Nobody looks at my videos. Very few people. I do have somebody, so I should never say nobody first. I should say very few people look at my videos. And those are my true subscribers who've been with me from the beginning and refuse to leave. Sometimes it's 2 of us, sometimes it's 3. We may get up to 10. But there's a man on YouTube who goes by the name of Mr. Skinny, who keeps stating on the World Wide Web, on YouTube, that I'm going to be dead by 2025. And that's very, very disturbing for me, especially a person with congestive heart failure, 3rd-degree heart block, and several other illnesses. And he said he got it on a word from a relative of mine that the doctors told me I'd be dead by 2025. That is an absolute lie. And I don't believe that she said that to him. But he makes these pronouncements of my death. And that's very concerning to me. It doesn't seem to concern anyone else, but it does me and my family. Law enforcement hasn't listened the way I'd hoped they do. But again, I'm an Asiatic woman, and so certainly I can't be afraid. I certainly can't believe anything is going to happen to me other than what nature does. It's very disheartening because it just makes you wonder how this could happen to a congresswoman. It makes you wonder. It makes me wonder. It may not make you wonder, but it does make me wonder. You will never know what goes through the mind of a mother. You'll never know unless you're a mother. And then you're an Asiatic mother at that. The pain that we feel for our babies, our sons, our daughters, our husbands, our brothers, our nephews, our uncles, our cousins. You don't know the prayers we pray. You honestly don't have a clue unless you live it. After undergoing more surgery to treat the infection, Johnson, 89, died from a spinal infection while in hospice care at her home on New Year's Eve. The last time Kirk Johnson spoke with his mother was Christmas Day, he said. She knew she was about to die, he told reporters. Quote, she thought that she would live 3 weeks, he said, his voice breaking. But she didn't. Unquote. Baylor, Scott, and White officials said Thursday they couldn't comment in detail on the allegations. Quote, Congresswoman Johnson was a longtime friend and champion in the communities we serve. She is an inspiration to all. We are committed to working directly with the Congresswoman's family members and their counsel. Unquote. Matt Olivolo, a spokesman for Bader, Scott, and White Health, said in an email statement, quote, out of respect for patient privacy, we must limit our comments, unquote. Weisbrod said he had been in touch with attorneys for the hospital system and rehab center, and that he is, quote, hopeful that it will be worked out, unquote. Texas law limits medical malpractice lawsuits awards to $250,000. Punitive damages can go much higher, but are subject to restrictions that include a favorable, unanimous jury decision. Quote, they have assured me that they want to work toward a resolution, unquote, he said. Quote, and I've dealt with these people over the years a lot, in a lot of cases. I think they're reputable people. They've expressed sympathy for what occurred, unquote. A towering Dallas political figure, once a nurse, state legislator, and congresswoman, Johnson was the dean of the Texas congressional delegation before retiring from office in 2023. She proved effective at her work due to her long tenure serving in the U.S. House, nearly 30 years at the time of her passing, and a pragmatist streak that made her open to working with Republicans. Born in Waco, Johnson became one of the most powerful Texas Democrats in recent memory to serve on Capitol Hill. She was the lone Texas-based committee chair in either chamber when she became the chair of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. She was the first Black woman elected to any seat in Dallas. She was the first nurse and Black Dalasite to serve in Congress, and she was only the third Texas woman to represent the state in the U.S. House. Her retirement last year came after serving 15 terms representing her district, which included Dallas County and surrounding areas. On September 7th, Johnson went to an orthopedic surgeon for a complicated back surgery on the lumbar region of her lower spine to repair damage done by scoliosis and other issues so that she would be able to continue walking, Weisbrod told reporters on Thursday. The surgeon, Dr. Andrew Park, installed hardware into the several areas of her lower spine to stabilize it, he said. The surgery went well, and Johnson was expected to have a recovery period of a couple of weeks, said Weisbrod, who also had back surgery by Park earlier in the year. Johnson was already walking a few days after the surgery, he said. Her surgeon referred her to Baylor, Scott, and White Rehab Center, where staff was supposed to take care of her wound and help her regain her strength before going home, he said. But on September 21st, her son, Kirk Johnson, was on his way to the center for a routine meeting about the cure when his mother called him saying she needed her sheets changed and that nobody was responding to her calls for help for at least 15 minutes, the son said. When he got there 15 minutes later, still nobody was there, and his mother, he said, was lying unattended in her bed in her own feces and urine, the statement said. There was no nurses at the nursing station when he went to find help, the statement said. Quote, she was screaming out in pain, asking for help, unquote, Kirk Johnson told reporters. He found an administrator and his mother was cleaned up and assigned a different caretaker. The family estimates that she was unattended in her own feces and urine for at least an hour. Quote, CEO Mr. David Smith appeared concerned as he had witnessed and smelled the horrid situation, unquote, the statement says. Quote, according to Mr. Johnson, Mr. Smith's response was, this shouldn't have happened, unquote. At the time, Weisbrod said the family was told that the nurses scheduled to monitor the station for calls that day were in a training session. In a voicemail from a case manager a few days later, a recording of which was played for reporters on Thursday, the son was told the technician who was assigned to the Congresswoman's care that day was checking on another patient when Johnson needed help. See how people lie? Everybody say they work in honor and integrity. Nobody does. And I promise you, you don't have it documented or recorded, then lies will be told on you, and people will believe them. Isn't it good that this happened with the recording so they can see how stories, narratives are told? The Congresswoman's orthopedic surgeon who had performed her back operation noted complications that she was having 3 days later that were directly related to that incident, according to Weisbrod. Medical records released to reporters indicate Johnson had intense pain and a fever, as well as other signs of infection in the womb. Lab results confirmed that it was an infection and found bacteria that was directly related to the exposure to the feces. Doctors operated again on September 25th, Weisbrod said. Treating the infection required not only cutting away the infected parts of the womb, but also removing all the hardware from the previous surgery to make sure it wasn't infected, and then putting it back into the spine again, he said. She began taking antibiotics intravenously, the attorney said, and was on them until the day she died. After that second surgery, Johnson was moved to a skilled nursing facility to recover from the procedure, but was moved home in mid-December for hospice care. She died shortly after. But before her death, the Congresswoman pressed her attorney to pursue this case, and this is a quote, for her weeks before she passed, unquote, Weisbrod said. Quote, she knew what happened to her. We discussed it, and she asked me to pursue a case for her, unquote, he said. Quote, and of course, I thought it was going to be a case for the pain that she went through and the additional procedure she went through and the medical bills, and that she was going to recover. It's very distressing for me that she succumbed to this, unquote. Texans need truth. Help us report it. And that's the paper where I found this article. Independent Texas reporting needs your support. The Texas Tribune delivers fact-based journalism for Texans by Texans and our community of members. The readers who donate make our work possible. Help us bring you and millions of others in-depth news and information. Will you support our nonprofit newsroom with a donation of any amount? And it is Independent Texas Reportings at the Texas Tribune. That's where I found the articles. So I sound the alarm and I ask you, if you made it this far, and if you're a content creator, if you would just speak to the injustices that's going on with us every day. It's not enough to just be entertained. YouTube has so many subjects and so many ways to help yourself and others. Let this be one of them. I hope you listened this far. I am truly saddened. And I just can't understand, where is all of the outrage? You know, if the police shoot one of us, we swear, oh, not again. And everybody want to take to the streets, and everybody wants something done. As it should be. But where is the outrage for a woman who gave her life serving others? And because of their negligence, she is no longer with us. Write to your Congress, men and women. Write to your state representatives, your state senators, aldermen, whatever you call them in your state. Let them know that we know something is not right in America. And although they say that we're all created equal and we're all free, this feels like what I heard slavery was like. It feels like that. Doesn't mean that's what it is. But it's too many incidents. Too many things are happening to us. We spend too much money. I know I do. Paying insurance. Hoping to get great treatment. And I have some of the best doctors that were ever born. And have had some good care while hospitalized. But who knows when this can happen to any one of us? Going in for something very simple, although her surgery was very complex and very painful. Look at the pain that they put the Congresswoman through. What she had to endure. Somebody just ought to feel bad about it or get mad about it. Sound the alarm. We need to come together as a people, all people, and say enough is enough. We see what's happening all over us. The people that run everything, how they're just falling apart. The systems that have been in place, they're falling apart. Not quick enough. So while we all have our attention over here on this Hollywood stuff, we have U.S. Congresswomen dying from neglect. Unacceptable. And I haven't gotten paid on my last two videos and might not get paid on this one, and that's fine. If they will allow my video to show and my voice to be heard, I would appreciate that. This is just my reasonable service. I can't do anything else. I can sound the alarm. I can honor a shero. And she may not be that to many. And a lot of us used to say, well, I don't know anything she really did. Oh, were we really mistaken? There was a lot of things she did. And one of the things she did, I heard from one of our past mayors, Laura Miller. And I was so happy to hear her say the things that she said, because, you know, I haven't always been into politics and trying to learn this and learn that. I've always been a reader. I've always read a whole lot of different things. I never really liked our history because I didn't like the way it made me feel. But when I started on my journey some 10 years ago on who we were before we were called slaves, I started learning different things. I've been blessed to know some of the greatest politicians in the city of Dallas. Congresswoman Johnson paved the way for my shero, the Honorable Terry Hodge, state representative. And man, did she serve the people in District 100 like no other. I call her the Texas tornado. She's a little bitty something with a powerful, powerful punch. The Honorable Helen Giddings. The Honorable Yvonne Davis. The Honorable Tony Rose. The Honorable U.S. House 30th Congressional District, Jasmine Crockett. We've had some great, great trailblazers. We had some city council women. The Honorable Diane Ragsdale. Man, did she ever fight for us in this city. Von Seal Hill, the Honorable. Whether I agreed with them or not, the Honorable Carolyn Johnson. And my city councilwoman, the Honorable Carolyn King Arnold. Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. The things these women do for us, sacrifice for us. You know, their children have to suffer because they have to go in sessions and they have to leave home. And then when they're in their home office, they have to serve all of us. We say the children are our future. We've got to prepare our up-and-coming children to take the place of these women, these great, great women. I thank you for listening to me as I give honor where honor is due. I am going to close now, and I'm going to close with two of my songs. One is In a Mother's Love. We have to understand the matriarchy. We are the givers of life. We have to come back in honor of our ancient mothers and fathers. We have to know who we are. We are resilient no matter what come at us. We will survive. I don't know which one of us, but we will survive. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please share it. Please subscribe to my channel if you're new to the channel. And leave a comment. It helps me get the word out. Doesn't matter how many people look. If you engage, it lets YouTube know that I'm doing something right. I thank you for your time. And it is my hope that more of us will start looking at us and see, as an individual, what can I do different? What can I do to make it better for someone else? But before we go, let me share with you some of the things that Congresswoman Johnson has done for us in Texas. These are community projects for Texas 30 and government funding packages. She was instrumental in us getting $7,750,000 for the Southern Gateway Project, and that's a park. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful endeavor. $4 million for the Forest Theater restoration expansion. The Forest Theater was a theater that we could only go to as Asiatic people. And it's very, 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 very memorable to our seniors and some of the young adults. Not too many, but it's a place that Erykah Badu once performed many a times. $2,927,000 for the renovation of the Dart's East Dallas Bus Maintenance Facility. And DART is our transit system, our bus system, and our train. And they have a facility that's been there forever and a day. And so we are getting upgraded. May have already happened because I'm never out and about like I used to be. But these are some of the great things that she's done that we, the everyday people, don't even see the hard work and the result of the hard work that our politicians actually put in and get results. $2 million for solar panels at the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center. And every state we know have a Martin Luther King Center. And our service, South Dallas and Greater Dallas, with many services, child care, dental care, employment, Department of Human Services for food stamps. They help pay bills, library, gym. Oh, it's a plethora of things there that service the community. $2 million for the city of Dallas to develop a greater downtown Dallas master plan. You know, a lot of people are moving to Texas, and a lot of the older buildings are being turned into lofts, and they have really upgraded our downtown. It looks like going to another city, downtown Dallas now. $940,000 for the Texas A&M University College of Dentistry in Dallas for an oral health care initiative. And that's a place where people that have little to no income or insurance can go to get dental care. And I know a lot of people laugh and talk about me with dental, but I actually have dentures. I just choose not to wear them because I am Toothless Tiger. $935,000 for the Dallas Police Department to acquire a record management system. And you know, most of our city, state, county facilities are antiquated and they really need to be upgraded. We have a fantastic district clerk, Felicia Petrie, and she's doing everything in her power to make it up to date, to serve all the people in Dallas. She is the custodian of all the court's records, and she does an excellent job. We have some phenomenal women doing some phenomenal things. Our Sheriff Brown, phenomenal women doing phenomenal things. And a lot of times it doesn't seem like it because the systems are so broken when they take office. And it takes them their whole tenure trying to make it right. But as long as we keep going to the polls and voting, we will see. Look at what Congresswoman is showing us. These things have happened. $920,000 for the Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas for programming to develop skills and competencies in STEM leadership development and financial empowerment. $915,000 for the Children's Health System of Texas for training, education, and pediatric mental health services. $750,000 for the City of Dallas Arborist Office for an urban forestry project. And we have one of the greatest arboretums in this area. $750,000 for the City of Dallas to plan an alternate entry for Love Field Airport. Love Field was our first airport commercially before we were given DFW Airport, and Congresswoman Johnson played a big part of that. Thanks to Laura Miller for telling us that. I really enjoyed hearing that. And I should say, she's a past mayor, the Honorable Laura Miller. $500,000 for Dallas College to develop a teaching residency apprenticeship program. $400,000 for the Texas Trees Foundation for supportive services and job placement of at-risk youth, young adults into the green jobs industry. Wouldn't it be something to be able to be an entrepreneur? Getting into the green jobs industry. And last but not least, $290,261 for the Abide Women's Health Services Clinic in Dallas for facilities and equipment. So although you may not know what the person you voted for is doing in office, do know that they're working on your behalf. And we want to thank you, Congresswoman Johnson. We are saddened for your loss. We believe it to be untimely. Of course, Scripture tells us so many different things about leaving. But we are grateful for the time that you were given to us and for the heart of service for people that you gave faithfully and diligently. And although that we know that you were not in office, the name still reigns supreme. EBJ. If you hear those initials, you'll know they belong to the Honorable Congresswoman from Texas, Bernice Johnson. Thank you. In a mother's love, you will find everything. Everything's alright. To a mother's love, you are bound. You can rest on sacred ground. In a mother's love, you are free to dream, because she sees what you can be. In a mother's love, you see the sun, enough for two, but you're one. In a mother's love, you can feel something hurts. You can heal. Yes, a mother's love is real. You grow because she knows to let you go. Yeah, mama. Mama, mama, mama. Mother's love. Mother's love. Yeah. All right. A mother's love. And a mother's love never lies. She believes that you can fly with all of her might. A mother's love. Yay, mama. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us who we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I failed, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And if by chance that special place that you've been dreaming of takes you to a lonely place, find yourself in love.